Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Snell. I want to welcome you back to Total Justice Gaming. We're going to be taking another look at the Transformers TCG in what I like to call Bot Talk. Bot Talk will be a dedicated area for Transformer segments, be they match videos or updates on how I'm doing in the game or deck videos. In this case, we're on our second profile. This time it's a heavy blue deck featuring Chromia, Major Prowl, and Aimless. Now, the reason for this combination is I'm seeing a lot of people looking at how to abuse Aimless the most. Bracket Rule, we just saw a recent video of, I believe it was Optimus Prime, Chromia, and Raider Aimless. I've been seeing countless Aimless decks being thrown throughout the community. I wouldn't try my hand at it, and I'm choosing Major Prowl. Now, the reason for Major Prowl is because he has his own burn ability. I want to try and combine Raider Aimless with Prowl to where when I swing, I'm dealing a free 5 damage on whatever I do, on top of Prowl's own 5 damage, essentially hitting them for 10 every swing, or at the very least hitting them for 7 or possibly 8 every swing by triggering either one or the other abilities with Major Prowl, causing pretty big damage. I was originally going to be running this Prowl, Flame War, and Raider Aimless. However, it was brought to my attention that making Raider Aimless tough 4 is going to make it really hard to turn him from his Battle Master or Target Master robot mode into his weapon mode. So I dropped that, and after some thinking and some talking with some of the guys in the community, I did choose Chromia because in a blue heavy deck, which we already need to trigger Aimless, I'm going to get some profit off of Chromia. So we'll run down the characters. Raider Aimless is a Decepticon Battle Master, even though he's a Target Master. But you know, I've been with Transformers since the beginning, so I'm going to call a spade a spade. He's a Target Master. Transforms a new weapon that makes him a Target Master. I guess also Battle Master. It's one of those things where the 80s was very confusing. Anyways, Raider Aimless is a Decepticon. He is a Battle Master. He is ranged. He has a 3 attack, a 8 health, and a 0 defense. However, he has a tough 3. And then in his weapon form, he is Manifold Ion Particle Blaster that gives +3 to anybody he's equipped to, with the ability of when the upgraded character attacks and you flip at least 3 blue, do 3 damage. And of course, the static Battle Master ability of when this will leave the field, put in your KO pile instead, your scrap pile. So we're going to try and burn them. So we move on to Chromia. Chromia is a car and a specialist with 4 damage, 12 health, and 1 defense in car form. And her ability is when you flip to this mode, you may play a blue armor. Or an armor. Yeah, this is really weird wording for an and blue armor, but I think it was just supposed to say an armor, and then maybe the blue pip was supposed to be on the side, but you know, semantics. It's weird. Flipping over into bot form, we are going to be looking at her. She is still a specialist with 3 damage, 12 health, and 1 defense. And whenever this defends, you flip at least 2 blue, you get to draw a card. So, in a blue deck, which we are going to run because we're trying to trigger Aimless's effect, we still profit with Chromia when she defends. Or when she flips, I can at least equip a blue armor to her. Now on to the major bot that is anchoring the deck, and that is Major Prowl. Major Prowl is a car in ranged. He has 4 attack, 14 health, and 2 defense in car mode. When we flip him over, he has 5 attack, 14 health, and 1 defense in robot mode. He still retains his range trait. Has the ability of when this attacks an enemy that has a weapon do 2 damage to that enemy. So, realistically, our ability is going to let him sit here at a 8 attack. That's going to swing into a weapon with an enemy. Or swing into an enemy with a weapon. Wording is hard. So, we swing into him. His ability will trigger, meaning they're going to get take 2 damage for free, and then if we're very lucky, we'll be able to hit Raider Aimless, do 3 more damage, making him a 5. Then Prowl's own thing, if we're running up against an orange deck, they'll just flat out take the damage. And we hit them for a grand total of 13. Now, there are a couple of drawbacks to this deck. Characters that prevent outside combat damage do not get affected by this, so this is Ironhides and whatnot. Also, we have to be aware that some people are starting to run Motor Master separately from the Stunticons. I've seen it in a few builds on a couple of the Facebook forums because outside burn damage is starting to become a thing. And Motor Master's alt mode prevents all outside combat damage, so you have to take out Motor Master to begin with. So there are already counters to this deck and strategy. I'm well aware of that. It's just I don't know how much Motor Master will be run. He may be a sideboard character. He may be main board, depending on the decks. But like all combiners, he doesn't have that great of health, so he would be my first initial target. Running into how a turn would work, I would realistically attack with Flip Chromia and attack Raider Aimless, then attack Chromia, leaving Prowl to be our last bot to both transform and attack. I would say that's your strategy if you play it either first turn or second turn. Your first turn is always going to be Raider Aimless. You're going to try to put weapons to make him a bigger priority target than he really is, to make them go after him, to get him into weapon mode. If they go after Chromia in bot form, then you're possibly going to be netting yourself a card. And you try to save Prowl for last so they just can't get at him at all until you have no choice but to swing at him. So that's how our turns are going to go, is it'll be Aimless, Chromia, and then Prowl. So we will move on to the battle deck. We're going to be going through the whites first. So we're running 2 spinner rims. This is really needed because we need that extra flip in order to trigger Aimless. This says if we flip a white, we can flip 1 extra card on the swing. So from there, we just get to swing with more cards. We're not looking to deal big damage because we are a very dense blue deck. But we do need that extra flipping power in order to trigger Aimless. Followed by that, we are going to be going with 2 copies of Debilitating Crystal. I've said this before in my Soundwave video. I really like this card. I hope to see this more played in either main or side decks. With the Battle Masters running around, this just pops them off and puts them right into the KO pile, meaning they're going to have to play a Quartermaster, which I need to get a hold of, which will be in the second variant of this deck once I do more playtesting with it. This did fairly well right off the bat, but Quartermaster does need to be put in this deck in hindsight. Back to why I'm rolling Debilitating Crystal. Again, we do have just Battle Masters running around. We have more people with Aimlesses. We have people with Lionizers. And just to be able to pop it right off on a swing makes this a very, very valuable card. I don't know if in Prowl this is going to be a card that's worth mainboarding. I may actually sideboard this when I'm able to get some more Quartermasters. Right now I'm currently sitting at 0, but by Saturday I'm getting 2 boxes, so hopefully I'll be able to pull at least 2. And we'll see Debilitating Crystal in the sideboard with this being replaced with Quartermaster. Or vice versa, depending on how the deck matches. I do want to try and keep this in the main board because I think it's a very valuable card. But at the same time, since I am running a Battle Master, I can see why this would be sideboarded and Quartermaster would be in. So there's that. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Security Console. This is one of the character defense. Draw a card, plan 1. This lets me set up on Chromia to profit off of her ability. This also lets me be able to draw a card, and drawing a card in the game, drawing a card in any card game is good for you. Thus, it is good for me. So we are running that. We are also going to be running 2 copies of Datapad. This is the aggressive version of Security Console. when the upgraded character attacks, draw a card, and then plan one. This is going to let us set up for Raider Aimless in order to be able to make sure we hit the Raider Aimless burn on Prowl, thus making sure that we can always be able to burn for the maximum amount of damage and get that at least a grand total of 5 static free damage that they cannot stop off on their enemy onto the bot. And then whenever Prowl hits, Prowl hits. But this is going to help us ensure that we can make sure we get that flip the way we want it. Finally, we are going to be looking for the last of the white pips, 2 combat trainings. I like combat training only because it's a white pip. It gives us bold 1, meaning we get to flip 1 more, again, triggering Prowl, and also we get tough 1, which triggers Chromia. So that's kind of self-explanatory right there. And it rounds out my 10 white pips. Moving into our blues, we're going to be running 3 copies of Battlefield Report. I ran 2 copies of this in my Soundwave. I bumped it up to 3 after some playtesting. I'm keeping 3 in Prowl as well because this is just a fantastic card. It's a defensive version of incoming transmission. I talked to great links about that in the Soundwave deck profile, but I mean, it's a secret action for whenever it attacks. I get draw 2 and then plan 1. With Chromia, that lets me net an armor. With Prowl, that lets me set up a nice defensive buff. This has just a lot of uses. It's probably one of my favorite cards out of set 3. Moving onward, we are going to be running 2 copies of Brainstorm. I like Brainstorm because it lets me being able to play multiple actions, such as Vaporize to knock off opponent's armor. Then I can play Pep Talk. I can play a Leap into Battle, into Pep Talk, into Vaporize. It just lets me play more actions and net more profit. Running the set of 2 of, I keep flipping back and forth if I want to run 2 or 3. I'm running 2 right now. I'm going to see how that works for me. It may be bumped up to 3, or I may just keep a 3rd one in the side deck. Moving right along, we have 3 Leap into Battle. Leap into Battle lets us get our damage. Because we are a blue deck, we have to rely on outside resources to bump up our damage and do more. This just is one of your characters gets plus 3 damage until the end of the turn. This lets Raider Aimless become a 6. This lets Chromia become a 6. This lets Prowl become an 8, plus whatever other shenanigans I stick on them. It's just going to be a big damage buff. We are solid blue with maybe some blue-black in the deck, but we are heavy blue, so we do need our outside damage buffs. Vaporize. I am running 3 Vaporize. I really like Vaporize. I, again, discussed this in the Soundwave, but I like a flat scrap and enemy upgrade. I am not restrained to knocking off only a certain version upgrade. I get to pick. My opponent does not get to pick and just blast the upgrade apart. Because it's Prowl, you do want to try and keep weapons on them. That is a very risky thing. But this also will be able to knock off annoying utilities, such as Erratic Energy Grenade, to prevent them from doing 2 damage across the board to you. This lets you scrap armors that gets rid of their tufts, or even some armors that give you bolds, and weapons that there are some weapons you want to get rid of. I would get rid of a smoke cloak or anything that's above a tough 1 or a bold 1. I would definitely get rid of. Something that gives a damage boost of plus 3, I would get rid of. I know it hinders Prowl's ability to do damage, but there are certain weapons that do gotta go, but there are also weapons that I want to keep, and I want to try and focus on utilities or armors. This is more for utilities and armors, but again, there are certain weapons that just have got to go, and I get to pick. My enemy doesn't get to pick. I'm not nailed down to a specific type of upgrade. I just get to kill an upgrade. For this reason, I am running 3 of them. I know I was only running 2 in Soundwave, but Soundwave had better ways of getting damage in a bit more sneakily with Ravage and Laserbeak. With Prowl, I gotta make sure I can get the maximum amount of damage possible, so that's why I'm running this. Furthermore, I am running 3 copies of Pep Talk. Pep Talk draws me 2 cards. That's enough said. Draw 2, draw cards, get more cards in hand, profit. Moving right along. We are moving into the armors now. We are running 2 copies of Reflex Circuit. Put it on ranged. We can put it on Raider Aimless or Prowl. This is a blue-green, so this is a reoccurring armor. If I need to, when I flip it, I can grab it. And its ability is, while the upgraded character is defending against a melee enemy, the upgraded character gets +1 defense, meaning this is a +2 defensive armor that can be brought to hand out of the scrap pile. Making Prowl pretty decent. Puts his bot mode at 4 defense, which is nothing to laugh at, and puts his bot mode at potentially 3 defense, depending on if I'm fighting against a melee character. For that reason, I'm running 2 of that. On to extra padding. Right now, I'm running 2 extra padding. I may flip it with Smoke Cloak or something else, maybe drop down to 2 Pep Talks and 1 more extra padding. I just got to play test some more, see how this goes. But like Reflexes, this is a blue-green, meaning I can get out of the scrap pile. When I flip it, it gives them tough 1. When you put this on a character, you may put an extra padding, and you can put up to 3 extra paddings into a single armor slot. This means I can potentially go up to tough 3 on a single character, which is fantastic. Prowl would really like that, and Chromia would really like that. Not so much Raider Aimless. Giving Raider Aimless more tough is bad. So right now we're running 2 of this. We are also running 3 copies of Smoke Cloak for a lot of reasons. The Black Pip gives us Pierce. We're guaranteeing ourselves damage. Blue because we are a heavy blue deck and we want to be able to trigger Raider Aimless. Tough 1 because giving Chromia the extra flip lets us trigger her ability to draw us a card. And on Prowl, it just gives us tough 1, meaning we can flip for extra defense, keeping him in the game. So, multiple reasons I'm running 3 copies of this. Moving into the weapons, we are going to be running 3 copies of Dismantling Claw. I want to put this on Prowl while Raider Aimless is still in bot mode. Pardon me. Move that back. There we go. Much like Reflex Organs have padding, it's blue-green, meaning I can get out of my scrap pile when I flip it. It gives +1. When this is scrapped from your character, I can scrap an enemy weapon, meaning I can attach this to Prowl, scrap it, put on Raider Aimless, scrap someone else's weapon that I'm not going to be swinging in with Prowl. +1 on Chromia is not too bad. Sticking this on Raider Aimless is really good because when Aimless dies, I can scrap a weapon. This gets scrapped. Aimless becomes a weapon I attach to Prowl, and then an opposing weapon gets scrapped. So we're running 3 of that. Next up is Primary Laser. We are running 3 of these. Primary Laser pretty much is just another blue pip for defense and flipping for abilities, and +2 attack, making Chromia pretty beefy. We can stick this on Prowl because Prowl's on this. It's that Prowl or Blue Streak. I can never tell those 2 apart. Anyways, sticking this on Prowl until we can get Raider Aimless, still give him some sizable attack. We can stick this on Raider Aimless, making him a 5, which is pretty decent. I don't know what the magic number sweet spot for attack is in this game yet. I'm expecting it's between around 5 and 7 because most of the smaller bots are around 10 and most of the larger bots are around 14, save for some of the bigger boys like Prime Magnus, Starscream, and Megatron. They're all sitting around like 17 to 18. Then you got the weird ones like Cosmos, who's 21. But I still don't know what the magic numbers are in this game, and that's something I really do hope to learn because that is some useful information. But this does help us hit decent numbers at the very least. It sets us at a 5 for Raider Aimless, a 5 for Chromia, 5 in robot mode for Chromia, or a 6 in car mode for Chromia, a 7 in bot mode for uh, Prowl if we don't have Aimless on him, or a 6 in Prowl. Pardon me. So, blue flip +2, it's pretty good. I mean, it's fairly standard, I think, to run in any blue deck because we do need the outside damage buffs. And then finally, we are running 30 copies of Handheld Laser. Handheld Lasers are generic double blue pip and bold 1, meaning if we attach it, it won't give us a damage buff, but it will let us be able to swing for 1 extra blue pip, thus triggering Raider Aimless, and that's what we're really trying to go for. No outside damage buff, which is annoying, but I understand it because it's already a double blue with bold. So, I mean, it's fine. So that's the deck in the long run. Right now I don't have that big of a sideboard. I don't know who my other bot would be. I guess Flame War to give Prowl tough 1, but again, we're looking at giving Raider Aimless tough 4, which makes him almost impossible to kill. So he's going to be super duper annoying. I have a small sideboard. It's going to turn the deck more defensive and away from being able to do the burn ability more frequently. I'm not sure how good it is. Right now, it's running 2 EM 24 IR laser launchers. This is because it's a +3 weapon. You can stick that on Raider Aimless. Probably drop one of the lesser weapons. It doesn't have a pip, though, which kind of sucks, but it does have a +3, meaning people get good numbers. I'm sticking that at a 2 of. I'm just not sure what I run it at the moment. Running 2 copies of Force Field, we can bring out Spinner Rims, put this in if we're running up against a very heavy bold deck or a very heavy orange deck like the Insecticons. So we're running 2 of those. Again, if we're running against a super, super aggressive orange deck, 2 copies of Dampening Field, I would probably take out Spinner Rims for this, or combat training, just to ensure that they are hindered as much as possible and flip the least amount of possible damage. I know we want to kill Raider Aimless as quickly as possible, but letting them set a tempo of big, big damage and you not being able to try and control the flow of the game is a bit of an issue. So, 2 dampening fields. And then 2 camo armors. You can replace the weapons with more armors to give tough. It just gives tough 1. It's another blue pip. I'm sure there'll be some other things. We may swap this out to Quartermaster, as I talked for earlier with the Stabilizing Crystal, which is more likely what I'll do. But guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a lot of fun. I hope this deck, you guys try and test it out and have a lot of fun with it. I've been having just a bunch of fun with this thus far. I am not quite at the point where I am comfortable doing match videos yet. That'll come later on down the road, mostly because I need a way to record them aside from like a stand. And I need to get more familiar with the game before I start posting match videos with you guys. But guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Joe Snell. This is Total Justice Gaming's Bot Talk. Please like the video, subscribe, leave comments. I love comments. I love talking to you guys. I will be happy to answer everything on there. I'm very, very good with criticism, be it constructive or otherwise. I don't mind it at all. It's only going to make me a better player and make me a better content producer for you guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Till all in one, and all hail Megatron.